It's story time, everyone! That's right, it's story time because there's really nothing going on in the fish room here today because, I don't know, there's really nothing that's changed. Everything's going the way it should for once. How about that? But, hey, look at this. Wearing the same color shirt as my shrimp buddies over there, so. Wasn't intentional, but actually, yeah, that's pretty spot on to the color they are. But anywho, so today we're going to talk about my first fish. The fish that, okay, it never started anything actually. It was like 20 years ago. So I just want to preface this by saying that I was like 5 or 6 years old, right? My parents decided, oh, let's get Andrew a pet. And so they went to the pet store. I didn't even pick out the fish, right? They just got the fish. So what do? They go to the pet store and say, hey, what's the easiest fish to take care of? They got a betta fish, they got a tank, and all that. Well, it's not even a tank, it was a little bowl, and that's a problem, actually. So here's the dealio. Let's start out this video by giving some correct information. First off, betta fish are tropical freshwater fish. They should have a heater set to preferably somewhere around like 78 degrees Fahrenheit. They do like it a little warm. Should be stable, constant temperature, right? They should definitely have a cycled fish tank, meaning the filter should be cycled. Just because you see them in little tiny cups in the store doesn't mean that's what they prefer. They should have at least a 10-gallon tank, because despite what you may think, fish do not have 5-second memories. They are very capable of remembering a lot of detail. Betta fish are naturally curious fish. They like to explore, and in fact, betta fish, I would say, are on, in terms of like small freshwater fish, on a higher level of intelligence than like a platy or a guppy or something like that, because they actually can display kind of semi-complex emotions. They can get depressed. They can get anxious. They can get happy and exuberant. They can remember your face. They can recognize you. They can learn tricks and play games like, get this, they can play basketball. Did you know that? If you get a little fuzzy pipe cleaner and put it on the surface of the water and get a ping pong ball, you can teach your betta fish that if he boops the ball into the hoop, you give him a little treat. That's how you play basketball with a fish. It's cool. It's really awesome. Betta fish are super cool little buddies. They are capable of so much, and yet they are probably one of the most mistreated fish in the whole aquarium pet industry, because people think they're just easy, hardy fish to take care of. They are hardy fish, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't give them the proper setup. So everything I'm about to tell you is wrong. Like this story, the way everything was handled is wrong, because it was this perpetuated notion that, oh, it's very easy to take care of. You just put a fish in the water, this and that, and you give them some food. No. So here's what happened. Got a little betta fish buddy. We have not even a tank, a little bowl, because, well, it's an upgrade for a betta fish, right? Swimming from a little cup to a bowl. Well, first off, the only reason they're in cups in the pet store, well, 2 reasons. One, they can kind of get away with it because betta fish actually have an extra set of organs that most fish don't have. They originate from Asian countries and are typically found, well, they used to be found in like rice fields. So when the weather would not have a lot of rain and downpour for the rice fields, the betta fish wouldn't have anywhere to go. They kind of get stuck without a lot of water. So over time, with evolution and adapting and evolving to survive their environments, they were able to create this organ, for evolutionary traits that allowed them to breathe oxygen from the air instead of through the gills in the water. They can do both. That doesn't mean they should have to rely on the air from the surface. They can do it for a while, but just know that That's not an excuse to not aerate your tank and have oxygen in the tank with like a bubbler or something. So because of that, they're able to put them in these small little containers without any aeration in them because they know they can get the oxygen from the atmosphere, the air. Two, they keep them in these little containers because they're known as, the common nomenclature is Japanese fighting fish. Okay, yes, they're territorial fish. That is how they are. Now we can get into like genetic breeding lines and stuff and explain why they're territorial. That is totally a video for another day now that I think about it, because the history behind that is really interesting. But we're not going to get into that. But yes, they keep them in separated because it's easy to with these fish. And if they didn't, they might attack each other if they were in a big tank all together. So that's why they're in these little containers. So my parents thought, hey, a 1-gallon bowl, that's a big upgrade for a little fish that had nothing going for it, right? Well, it was just a bowl with water. We were in this a much more urban environment at the time, so it was just city water, which means there was chlorine or chloramine in the water. It wasn't treated, it wasn't detoxed like so with something like Seachem Prime. That's not good. They still have gills, and it's still going to burn the gills and whatnot. You know, chlorine and chloramine is not something a fish wants to breathe. It's very, depending on the levels in your city water, you know, just dropping a fish in that, it could be really bad. But because it's a betta fish, it was able to survive that for, you know, a little bit. Once again, you shouldn't do that. You should treat the water. But that's how they're able to get away with it, is because, you know, they have these adaptations they grew. So, okay, story time part. Now that we've gotten that out of the way. So we had 2 fish bowls, right? One was the one where little fishy bro was just swimming around doing his thing, and we give him a few pellets of food, right? The little pellets that stay on the top and float. Because, you know, betta fish like to go to the surface of the water and grab it like that. And then after about a day or two, the water would get kind of yellow, and we thought, okay, well, it's time to put little fishy bro in some clean water. So we had another bowl that we would put some clean water in. And my parents would transfer the fish from the one bowl to the other. Well, here's the problem. We didn't have a net. We didn't have a net. We didn't have a net. All we had was, I think it was a kitchen utensil, something like a 1 measured cup thing for like measuring butter or something like that. You know, 1 cup, like if you're cooking something, right? And my mom was doing it this time because my dad wasn't available at the moment, so she doesn't want to touch the fish because it's ew to her. So she's chasing the fish around with the little 1 measuring cup thing, and eventually she gets the fish. Well, we changed the fish from bowl to bowl in the kitchen because that's where the sink is. Well, little fishy bro doesn't like being confined in this tiny little thing. Fishy bro doesn't know what's going on. So he's thrashing about, and it's only like a few seconds to move it about, but he don't stay still. He starts thrashing, and then he kind of flops out of the cup and kind of lands in the sink. And then fishy bro kind of flops around because he don't like that. And then he falls in the hole of the sink. And then little fishy bro gets lodged into the grinder built under the sink. You know, the thing you put your leftover food to dispose of it, and it grinds it up and then sends it away through the tubes of your plumbing. It's important to note that the grinder was not on. So we yelled and we got my old man to come over, and we're like, my fish flopped in the grinder. So he's like, all right, hold on, let's not panic. So he tries to get the fish out of the grinder. Tries a good solid like 4 or 5 minutes, and then gives up, and he's like, Andrew, look, fish need water to breathe. It's been in there for a while. It's probably dead now. There's nothing we can do. But in other words, it's like, I'm not about to take a few $100 worth of plumbing to save a $5 fish. So I bet you can all see where this is going. flips the switch. Bye-bye, little fishy buddy. Swim in the big tank in the sky, bro. But here's the thing that gets me messed up. And I only just thought about this when I was telling this story to a friend a few days ago. Beta fish breathe air. Okay? It was probably still alive. Like, it was not comfortable. It was probably stressed the heck out. But because beta fish have that particular organ, it was probably alive, and my dad flipped the switch, and it never crossed my mind until recently. Dude, I cannot explain to you how horrifying the thought of losing my first pet in this totally messed up way because no one did any research. I mean, back then, we were lucky just to have dial-up internet. There wasn't really a huge presence like Reddit or all of these fish forums and then such to go on. YouTube wasn't a thing back then. So information was hard to come by. Mistakes were made. Thing is, once again, I was like 5, 6 years old. I just had to accept it. And the thing is, this fish I didn't even have for a week. Like, I never even got to name the fish, which in retrospect is probably a good thing because if I got too attached, man, I'd feel really terrible. Dude, I still feel freaking terrible knowing what I know now. Because I had a beta fish like 4 or 5 years ago. I said, you know what? I'm going to get myself a pet. And I got a little fish. And I made the same mistake of getting a bowl. But then I did my research. And then I got him a tank. Like at least a 1 gallon, proper 1 or 2.5 gallon tank. And I got a filter. And I cycled the filter. And I gave him proper beta food. And I got him a heater. So he was a much happier little buddy. And he was in my living room. I would get to see him every day. He got used to me. He was an awesome little fish bro. And you know what? I'm glad I did my research because now I got tanks everywhere and I'm even keeping much more sensitive creatures like shrimp, like prawn. I got platies, guppies, you know. I know a lot more now. The point is everyone starts somewhere and it really sucks when you start at a point that is not good for anyone. Not for you, not the pet, not for anything involved. It's really a bummer. And I know this story is not happy. This story sucks. I don't like that it happened. But you know what? It happened. So, if you know someone that's going to get their first fish, by golly, send them a video, send them a page on the internet that tells you what you should do before you get a fish. Because you know what? I never thought 4 years ago that I would have, 6 10-gallon tanks, a 40, a 55, and I think that's like a 29 over there. And I never thought I would be as into the whole fish hobby thing as I am. It turns out it's really fun, and it's really cool. I enjoy the heck out of it. But if I didn't take the time to do the right thing and research and look things up, all of this wouldn't have happened. I would have given up a long time ago. And you know what? Look, ignorance is okay to the point where you understand that you don't know enough, and you take the time to correct that, and you do what you can to not be ignorant of a subject. Ignorance doesn't necessarily mean you're doing it on purpose. It just means that you never were even told you had to start anywhere. No one's taken the time to give you the information. But that's the horrifying truth of a lot of fish for a lot of people. And now, when you learn about all these requirements for fish, and I go by like Walmart or Meyer or something like that, and they've got these fish and the poor betas and they're half dead, and I'm like, I wish I could save you guys. And it hurts my heart because I know these little buddies, these little fish, are really intelligent. For what they are incredibly intelligent, and people are not giving them the time of day to recognize that they can, in fact, be really awesome pets. They're not just decorations. They are living creatures that can have interesting emotions. You can play with your fish in various ways. People don't understand that. Some people will get their fish and the big tank and everything, and they wonder why their fish are dying all the time. And they think, oh, the fish are just bad. You know, fish die because that's what fish do. No. Man, like the oldest living koi fish is over 200 years old. You know, a standard comet goldfish like the one I have in that tank can easily live 25 years old. You know, they can get big, but the thing about it is, you got to start somewhere. So, knowledge is power. It's important to learn about something before you get it. If you're going to get a pet dog, you should learn about how to take care of your dog, or rabbit, or cat, or fish, whatever it is you're going to get. In this day and age, when information is so easy to come by, you really should have no excuse to do what happened to me like 20 years ago. So yeah, story time doesn't always mean happy endings. But in kind of a way, my little fishy buddy's spirit lives on.